Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I am so excited about today's topic because this is maybe one of my favorite things to talk about is how do you march the beat of your own drum? If you knew me as a very small kid, I was constantly doing what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. And if you gave me a rule, I would break it. So this was super important to my soul's path. And I promise you that if you do not break free of how the world sees you and the contagions that the world puts on humans, you will not reach your soul purpose and you will not reach who you are at the core. So we are going to dive all into that today because my job is to help you as much to strip away everything that is not you so you can get deeper to connect to who you truly are at the core. Because if we connect to that version of ourselves, that's the part that is your genius. That's the part where people are going to love you, know that you're special, want your services, better relationships, all of it. Your whole life will come alive the more you connect to who you truly are. But there are things that get in the way, many things that get in the way of connecting to our core self, connecting to that part of us. Because again, like I said, your soul purpose, if you listen to my last episode, only you can do it, which means you're going to be the one and only. So if we are following the crowd, if we are with the crowd, if we are going with everyone else, how can you become the one and only? It's quite literally impossible. You will never reach that place if you continue to follow the crowd, if you continue to stay in the box that you feel society puts on you because you're too afraid to break free of it because of loss of career, loss of friends, all of it. Trust me, I've been there and I have faced that. I remember many years ago when I was really diving into a part of letting go of a lot of programming in me, there was this fear completely that everyone around me was going to leave me. If they truly knew what I thought, felt, and was experiencing in my internal world. And to be fair, because I felt that, some people did leave, but I promise you, they all came back. And more importantly, I found who I was in that moment. That is where I broke free of the complete matrix that I was so stuck and limited in. So I want you to know that if you are going to go towards your soul pull, your soul path in general, and unlock who you are and truly, truly connect to the genius in every aspect that makes you you, you are going to have to go against the crowd. There is no other way to it. Because if you want to be like everyone else, then follow. If you want to break free of it, you're going to have to understand some components to help you become free of all those fears and whatnot. So there's so many pieces, but today we're going to talk about contagions because I've mentioned this a few times in my podcast episodes, but we've never fully talked about a contagion and what it is, how we can take certain steps to get rid of them, and to really, really understand how powerful they are. Because this is something that if you don't understand, it can be running your life. It can be the thing that is causing you to make choices that go against your soul path, go against who you are. It's going to keep you from really, truly loving and knowing who you are because it is a contagion, which means it's not who you are. It's a brainwash to keep you following a certain path. So let's dive into all these pieces of a contagion. So you've heard me mention this, that emotions are the most contagious thing. It is 100% the thing that is the most contagious over any illness, any virus, any of that. A virus is a contagion because everyone is feeling the same emotion. So I want you to understand that a contagion starts by someone feeling something. The more some situation gets more people to feel it, it becomes bigger. So I think I mentioned this in my last episode, that your neighbors, the people in your building, anything that is around you at a certain radius is a contagion, which means you are actually feeling their emotions. They are affecting your creator field. They are affecting your own mind, brain, all of it. Crazy, right? It's why I love living kind of in the middle of nowhere. Less people, because I can feel the contagions when I'm around a lot of people. And look, if you are in a building or you're around a lot of people, do not worry. Your soul planned that. Your soul decided that. So don't worry. And there are certain contagions that can be really helpful. If you put yourself in an area of a lot of wealthy people, well, they have contagions that are extremely positive. You can get contagions of how to raise your wealth and all of that. So there are good contagions. You can place yourself in situations to get certain positive uh, pull-ups with contagions. So just know we're going to, though, talk about the negative side of it, because that's the side that is actually keeping you away from who you truly are. So if you know me, I'm super, super picky about who I'm around, what I'm doing, because I understand that contagions are so, so strong. And I worked so hard to remove things out of me that it's not worth it to me at this point to have emotions rewriting my entire system. A great example of this is social media. Social media is a full-on contagion, especially Instagram, TikTok, all of that. It's a contagion, which means every single time you go on it, you are absorbing emotions and very strong ones, because you can feel it. Everyone feels it. Everyone says, oh, I feel like crap when I get off of social media. It's because you're pulling in contagions. You are actually pulling in low frequency emotions that you now just took on. So if you just spent the last month helping yourself heal something, but then you go on social media every day, one, you're making it much harder for yourself. Two, you could actually be undoing the work that you've been doing. When I say social media is going to affect your creative field by a lot, I mean it. It will affect how you see things, how you experience things. And there's proof, even physical proof of this. Trends. Trends are contagions. So this is something I want you to pay attention to. See if you are following trends all the time, because if you are, I promise you that is not your core self. What's happening is you have a contagion of believing this thing is cool, or this thing looks a certain way, or everyone else is doing it. And yes, I get it. It's stylish, whatnot. Food trends, diet trends, all of those trends are emotions that are controlling who you are, controlling what you are, because it is shaping and molding you completely. And so for me, of course, I want to wear stylish clothes, or of course, I want to have good food. And I'm not saying there isn't good information out there, but I want to make that choice for myself. I want to intuitively find something and go, yes, this feels right to me. I don't want a contagion telling me that this is the thing I need to buy, or this is the trend I need to follow. And then that gets me off path, because I want you to realize is that's exactly what it's doing. I think for me, for so long, these contagions, these trends, or these things that I was absorbing made me think I was a certain way. And when I started to remove contagions and started to understand myself and understand the universe, it's when I realized, oh no, I'm this way. Your core self, I promise you, is so different than you actually think. The things that you're actually into, the things that you actually love, the things that fulfill you are completely different than the program version. And if we want to get there, because that's where your life changes, we have to understand that these contagions exist and we need to be conscious of them. We have to ask ourselves, did I buy this thing because it was a contagion? Am I wearing this object because it's a contagion? And trust me, your ego will flare up and go, no, 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 I love it. I love it. Because again, if you heard other episodes, I've said this, where we will think it is completely something we love. And it's because we don't know the feeling of actually loving something on a heart level, a core level. And that was me for so many years. I had no experience of actually feeling what it felt like to love something on a core level. And that changed my life when I realized I was supposed to be a healer and do that stuff. And my whole world lit up. I spent every single day doing it. That was when I realized, oh, this is a heart love. This is something I've never experienced ever in my life. I've liked things and I thought I loved things, and I was so wrong. So trust me, contagions are going on everywhere, and social media is one of those. So for me, It's not on my phone. I'm rarely on it. I don't use it. And I know that sounds crazy. And we're obviously on YouTube right now and different platforms, but there are certain ones that are a little bit better. YouTube's slightly better because there are videos on here that you learn and you grow and evolve. So there's some aspect that this could actually help. But Instagram, all that, it's just a contagion. So every single time you're going on there, it's you pretty much choosing to have this thing brainwash you and get you to feel something that you're not. So if there's a bunch of people on there that are feeling insecure, and that is why they're putting up photos to get that validation, well, guess what? You're going to get off there and feel highly insecure, hate your life, and you don't actually feel that way. That's what I want you to realize is contagions feel so real, but it's actually not what you're feeling. You're feeling other people's emotions and you just brought them on as your own. And this is why contagions, it's not you. It's not who you truly are because it's some other emotion that you've taken on as your own. And so keep this in mind when you're getting on social media. Ask yourself, one, is it worth it? Because it's probably not. For me, after doing how hard I work to undo stuff, I am very, very picky about what is in my eye level emotional space, because that is going to undo so much of what I've done and I worked really hard for. And that's why I intuit where I should live, because where I should live is I'm a match to the emotions and the people around me, and they are a match to me. So contagions are something to be really, really aware of and look at your life and just start asking if you are following possible contagions and trends that might just be emotional charge, that it has control over you. Another thing to keep in mind is biased opinions. Biased opinions is a form of a contagion. I can't tell you how many people come up to me and just assume I have the same beliefs as they do in certain things, in politics and all that. They just assume it. And mainly it's because biased opinions, you just assume everyone else agrees with you. It's a form of a contagion. It's a form of a brainwash. Biased opinions are pretty much the brain saying this is the way and this is the only way. And that is not true with what we know about the world and the universe and all these universal laws. It's not just one way. So when you have a biased opinion of, oh, I should have X, Y, Z by this age, or I should have had more money by now, or my partner should be this way, those are all biased opinions. Those aren't soul path opinions, because trust me, when you go your soul route, it looks completely different than what the normal way of living is. So if you have biased opinions and you follow them or believe them, that is going to get you off path. You have to actually let go of all the biased opinions of this is the way it should be, this is the way it is, because that will not only wreak havoc on your mind and your emotional state, but it is so incorrect. When you go your soul path route, it's extremely different than what your human self would probably want, choose, or think is the right route. Now, you can emotionally get on board and love it. Trust me, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I love my life when I started going my soul route. That was a game changer for me. It's the most fulfilling life I've ever experienced. I say that and I don't remember my other lifetimes, but you get my point. It's much more fulfilling than the other way of going about life. So my point is if there were times during this that I had biased opinions and I remember like, oh, X, Y, and Z should have happened. Why do I have this and no one else does? And we talked about many laws of the universe of why it is that way. And so use the universal laws. Don't use biased opinions, because biased opinions are just an opinion. It's a perception, like, oh, you shouldn't live with your parents or you're not successful. Well, maybe your soul chose to live with your parents for a certain age, and that is exactly what you should be doing. That biased opinions will wreak havoc on your system and on your soul path. And the biggest thing that I want to share today is If you're going to go your true soul path, the path that is the most fulfilling and the most magical one that you could ever tap into, you are going to have to be outside the box. There is quite literally no other way. So if there's any part of your life that is actually keeping you trapped, that is kind of a very clear sign that there's most likely contagions, biased opinions, fears, there's other things going on, but it is keeping you in a limited viewpoint of your whole existence and path in life. Today, I want you to think of contagions and pay attention to emotionally what is making you make choices in your life that might not actually ring true to who you are. Because who I was before and who I am now, like I said, is completely different. My life became more simplistic. And that is something to also keep in mind. If it's constantly adding new elements or adding layers of stuff and things, that's contagions. Trust me when I say this, there's a whole system out there getting you to try to buy everything out there. That is obvious. So you are going to want to stay on path by paying attention to, is my emotional system getting hijacked? And I can tell you the answer is yes, because it is not something that we are conscious of. Emotions are contagious. So again, someone down the street can have an emotional day and we can feel it. So it is happening. The only way to disconnect from it, I mean, there's a few ways, but one I'm going to tell you today is to be aware of it. The minute you're aware of it, your system will actually release it. There's been so many times where I all of a sudden had an emotional charge of something out of nowhere. Like all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die. Like something extreme would happen. And I would look in, I'm like, is this a contagion? Is this what everyone else is feeling right now? And sure enough, it was yes. And the minute I was like, this is not my own thought, I choose to release this, it just went away. It's not my own thought. So I don't give permission to take that on as my own. So there is this statement you can say of saying, any thoughts that are not my own, I choose to release. You have to be conscious of the thought, though, for it to fully release, because your soul most likely wants to learn about contagions and wants to understand, oh, I have this contagion. Why did I fall for that? Oh, this one is going on. It's very helpful for you to understand what overpowers you and what is getting you off path. So you can say that statement once you realize, oh, yes, this is a contagion. Say that so it can start to release it and start to make choices and actions that go against it. And the more you do this, the quicker, and I mean speed, in which you get to your core self and open up the things that are meant fully for you and only you, which means then you benefit from that and everyone else around you benefits from that. So do not be afraid that marching to your own beat of, let me re-say that, marching to the beat of your own drum is going to get people to leave you. They always come back. It's just a reflection, but they always come back, I promise. And all of that can be completely shifted with reflections. People questioning you, all of that can go away easily. But today, I just want you to realize that your path, you have to let go of the contagions. You have to be aware of them. You have to understand that they exist and know that even though you think it feels good because maybe it makes you feel part of the crowd or makes you feel confident or it makes you feel a certain way, that does not mean that that is actually going to bring you to your soul path. What it's doing is actually filling a void and a validation. And then you're going to be seeking more of that, which gets extremely dangerous. So you want to be aware of these so that you can slowly start to remove them and go, okay, this is a contagion. I'm not going to follow that, and go your soul path route. So social media, I would stay away from and pay attention to, just ask yourself things that you buy, things that you're drawn to, how much of it is your core self? How much of this is a heart love, a heart want? Because if it's not, it's getting you farther away from you. And you want to risk everything for you. I will say, and I'll throw that out there. I know that might feel really scary to really consider, but the more you love yourself and the more you risk for you, the more everyone else will love you back and everyone will risk things to have you in their life. you have to go. I'm going to risk it all. And like I said, I will never forget the time where I was like, oh my God, I feel like a crazy person. But this is true. And this resonates with me so much. And I was like, everyone's going to hate me. And I was like, if that is what happens, that is what happens. I cannot put me on the back burner anymore. I cannot risk me just to stay in a contagion, just so I feel quote unquote safe in a bubble and following everyone else, and I'm not going to get questioned for it. If you risk for you, it always pays out. It always wins. There is not 1 ounce of that type of energy that goes unused. So trust me, I want you to risk you. I want you to let go of contagions and let go of what the world is selling you and what the world is getting you to feel, and get rid of things like the news and whatnots. Don't watch heavy emotional things like that, because it is going to start to wreak havoc on your system. And then look at biased opinions. Look at opinions that you have that you just say, nope, this is just the way it is. Because I promise you, it's never that. It's never, this is just the way it is. There's always another side. There's always a different perception you can see, no matter what, no matter how extreme the biased feeling may be. So look at biased opinions, and then also look at emotional just contagions of what you're taking on, and see if you can start to isolate your programmed emotional stuff to who you truly are. And it will open up your life, I think, honestly, somewhat more than anything, because then you're starting to strip away this box that gets you stuck in. And once you get out of that, then you can start playing with a lot of cool aspects of yourself. So contagions are a real thing. A great example of this is sicknesses are not hereditary. It's a contagion. It's a belief that's been passed down through generations. So each generation gets the same emotion, belief, illness. It is just a contagion. That's it. When somebody in the family stops believing it and heals it, and then we start seeing the healing happening in the family, the quote unquote hereditary illness goes away. That is the prime example of something being passed down and in a contagion that can completely alter your entire existence just because of one belief and one feeling of something. And so don't let silly things out there take control of your life and steer you in a direction that's not going to make you happy, that won't make you fulfilled. And just know that the other route is going to be the one that you're actually looking for, that you'll actually get the fill and then feel good. So have fun with this, because like I said, it might seem scary, but I think for me, I felt so much freedom when I realized I do not want to follow what everyone else is saying. I've had this happen with my businesses all the time, or people are saying, this is the way everyone else is doing it. And for me, if everyone else is doing it, that means I'm not going to create something that doesn't exist. So I'm not going to go that route. I'm going to go a different route. And yeah, maybe something will fail, or maybe something won't work as well as something else that someone else did. But the difference is the thing that didn't work wasn't ever supposed to work. It was supposed to get me into something else that then transforms and gets me to a place that no one else has ever been. So don't go and do what everyone else is doing. Even an example, my podcast, right? So many people say, oh, well, you have to stick to a very strict schedule. And I stick to somewhat of a schedule, but if intuitively I hear not to record for a week, I don't. And some people will say, that's not how podcasts are done. And I'm like, I don't care. Because my soul isn't doing this podcast to follow a podcast rule book that everyone else has done, because I'm not going where those people are going. I'm going somewhere else. And I don't fully know. My little iPad just made a little ding. That's my higher self saying, yes. I don't know technically fully where this is going. I don't know the full plan, but I need to trust my route and know that that is the best route, not the route that everyone else is doing, because I'm not trying to cookie cut my whole life into what someone else did. I'm trying to create something that doesn't exist. So when you find yourself putting those types of rules on yourself, that's another good thing to look at. Rules. Am I doing something because everyone else says that's the best way to do it? Or are you listening to yourself and figuring out, does that even feel right? Listen to those moments because, again, you are creating something that doesn't exist. And the only way to get there is to get rid of everything that does exist and everything that everyone else is following. If you are following the trends, if you are following the crowd, you're going in the wrong direction on every level. So pay attention to that in your week, in your life right now. And like I said, this was a life-changing moment for me, and it created so much freedom. And I think this was what helped me really solidify that I was like no one else, because I was able to find who I was when I let go of every contagion that existed out there. Thank you so much for joining. It means the absolute world to me. My goal is to reach as many people as I possibly can, and I cannot do this without you. So please like, subscribe, comment, and most importantly, share this with anyone you feel like it would resonate with. Again, I cannot do this without you, so thank you.